Today, we're digging into the incredible story of a company that didn't just survive a massive tech disruption, it used that crisis to become the essential fuel for the next one. This is the story of Intimate Merger, and it all kicks off with one really important question. So let's just start with that. When you think about the AI revolution, your mind probably jumps to, powerful computer chips or brilliant code. But what's the actual fuel that makes the whole thing go?
Well, it turns out the answer is a little more surprising and way more valuable than you might think. And to really get why, we've got to look at the story of a single Japanese company that found itself in exactly the right place at exactly the right time.
Okay, so our story starts with a company called Intimate Merger, and like a lot of tech firms, it was built on data. But the kind of data they specialized in, that's the whole key here. Their main business was what's known as a data management platform, or a DMP. Now, you can just think of it as a giant, super smart library for anonymous web browsing data. And its original job? Helping advertisers find the perfect audience for their ads online. You can really see their journey in 3 acts. First, they launched right in the middle of the AdTech gold rush. Then, they had to face this almost existential crisis when the internet's third-party cookies started to die. And finally, they found themselves perfectly positioned for the AI revolution. And that second act, that crisis, that's where things get really interesting. So, around 2018, the digital world was completely shaken up by what everyone started calling the cookie apocalypse. For a company like Intimate Mergers, a company built on tracking data, this was a massive 5-alarm fire. This whole thing created a huge divide. For years, the internet just ran on third-party cookies, these little trackers that would follow you around from site to site. But when giants like Apple began blocking them by default to protect user privacy, the entire foundation of the ad tech world just started to crack. The old way of doing business was suddenly broken. And for Intimate Merger, this wasn't some abstract, far-off problem. In their home market of Japan, a whopping 70% of people use iPhones. That's a platform where those old-school cookies were becoming totally useless. I mean, think about it. If you can't reach 70% of the market, you don't really have a business anymore. But instead of panicking, they pivoted. And they pivoted hard. They built a whole new infrastructure from scratch, one that was designed to work in this new world without cookies. And that move, it didn't just save their company, it turned them into a go-to partner for anyone trying to advertise in modern Japan. So, because they survived that crisis, they were in a totally unique position for the next huge wave in tech, generative AI. But this time it wasn't a threat. It was an absolutely massive opportunity. And this is where the whole story just clicks into place. There's a perfect analogy for what happened. If AI is the engine, then data is the gasoline. You can build the fastest, most powerful engine in the world, but without any fuel, it's just a lump of metal. This points to a huge shift in the tech world. A few years ago, the race was all about building a better AI engine. But now, with incredible models like ChatGPT becoming pretty common, the real competitive advantage has changed. It's not about owning the best engine anymore. It's about owning the best, most unique gasoline to power it. And wouldn't you know it, that giant library of anonymous browsing data they'd been building for years, what the industry calls human flow data, it turned out to be the highest octane, premium-grade gasoline you could possibly find. Generative AI made it super easy to process, and all of a sudden, every company building AI needed this unique fuel to make their own engines smarter and more competitive. So, you see what happened? By figuring out how to survive one crisis, they found themselves in an unbelievably powerful spot to cash in on the next revolution. This is really the heart of their transformation. They went from being just another ad tech company to becoming a fundamental infrastructure provider for the entire AI economy. It's a huge shift. And now, they have a one-of-a-kind presence in their market, simply because almost nobody else has access to this kind of data at this kind of scale. The solution they built for the cookie problem forced them to create a unique asset. And now, that asset is basically pure gold. And that brings us to the real takeaway here. As all these powerful AI engines become more and more common, the real power shifts. It moves away from the people who build the engines and towards the people who own the fuel. The story of Intimate Mergers shows us that in this AI revolution, the ultimate power might not belong to the person with the best algorithm, but to whoever controls the most valuable data. The only question is, who's next?